Hey folks, welcome back. Mr. Vass here with a quick video on your TI-Nspire CAS calculator and the AP statistics exam. So take a look here. We open up, we turn our calculator on. This is the first screen that we see. I'm not going to talk anything in this video about the scratch pad or the calculator scratch pad or the graphing scratch pad. I have other videos that talk about when you should use these versus when you should use documents. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take a look at those to figure out when you should be using those or not using those. What I'm going to do is jump right in and create a new document and show you where we're going to spend most of our time in this course. This course is statistics, so we are going to spend most of our time in lists and spreadsheet as well as data and statistics. So I'm going to go ahead and start by adding a list and spreadsheet page, and this ought to look a lot like either Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets to you, and the functionality you have in those programs is very similar to the functionality you have here. I'm going to go ahead and just enter some data. Let's call this one X. That seems like as good a name as any. And let's go ahead and enter some data for X. So I'm just going to make up some values here. Okay, so I have 6 data points there, and I've called those the variable X. We always put our variable names up at the top of the screen. I could call it X. You can actually add more descriptive text there. Let's say that that's, let's call it time 1. So that's some first time that we're measuring. And let's just say we have some more data. It's also a time. We'll call it time 2. I'm going to enter some data for that as well. There you have it. We have 6 data points for both time 1 and time 2. And one of the first things we do when we have data, the first step in our analysis procedure should always be to look at a graph of the data. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add another page to this document, and I'm going to select data and statistics. That's where we graph our data. And right now I just have a random jumbling of points here. The calculator is trying to take a guess at what I might want to do, but I have to actually tell it what I want to do. So I'm going to add a variable down here on the x-axis. I'm going to click that, and I remember I originally called that one variable x, but I changed it to time 1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that. And it defaults in as a dot plot. Not a very exciting dot plot, but it is a dot plot of the variable time 1. Now let's say I want to look at a different graph. Perhaps I'd like to look at a box plot. What you're going to want to do is either go to Menu, Plot Type, and select Box Plot, but there's another option. You can also go the control button and then this function right here. That's equivalent to a right click. So I have now the option there to change to a box plot. And there's a box plot of my data. Let's say I'm really interested in a histogram. So I could change that graph to a histogram. And again, it's not a very exciting histogram because I only have 6 data points there. One thing I'd like to talk about histograms, though, is the class width here is very important. And if I go to bin settings, I'm going to go to this 2 different ways. So let's say I go to Menu. And up here I have plot properties. I'm in a histogram, so I go to histogram properties. And then I go to bin settings. We are always going to choose an equal bin width. So I'm going to select equal bin width. And then I have some options here. Alignment. Alignment is the left-hand most column. Right now it's set at 2.4. I can see that the smallest data point I actually have is 2.5, so I can set it as 2.5. And my column width or my class width is set at 0.1. I'm going to go ahead and set it at 0.2 just so we can see some change in the graph. I grip it and rip it, and I have a problem. The histogram has now gone off the top of the screen. So I need to adjust for that, and I'm going to just click and drag down the scale on the frequency axis so that I can see the entire graph. One thing you'll notice is when I hover over one of the bars in the histogram, I get some information. It says I have a left-hand bracket, 2.5, and then 2.7, and a right-hand bracket. And the difference between the two brackets is very important. Excuse me, it's a left-hand bracket, a square bracket, and then a parenthesis on the right. The square bracket on the left means that the value of 2.5 is included in this class. The parenthesis on the right means that the value 2.7 is not included in this class. So to get the value of 2.7, I would have to go to the next class. And now, because I have a square bracket on the left, 2.7 is included in this class. The right-hand boundary, 2.9, is not included in this class. You'll also notice that I get a count. Each class, it tells me when I hover over a class how many data points I have in each of the classes. So I can see that I have 2, 1, nothing here, 2 here, nothing, and then 1. Okay, so that's enough about dot plots, a quick overview of dot plots, box plots, and histograms. Now the next thing we might want to do is maybe when we want to just take some calculated measurements of this data. So I'm going to go ahead and add another page, and now I'm going to go ahead and add a calculator page. Let's say I'm interested in some summary statistics of that data time 1. I'm going to go to menu. Let's see, actions, number, algebra, calculus, probability. Oh, statistics. Yeah, that's what this class is called, statistics. So let's go ahead and take a look at stat calculations. And then I have a whole bunch of options there. What I'm interested in right now is in one variable statistics. So I'm going to select one variable statistics. And it's going to ask me how many lists do I have for one variable statistics run. And I have one list for this example. And then it asks me what that list is. I'm going to go ahead and select time 1 because that's what I'd like to do some summary statistics on right now. Frequency list, I'll go into more detail as we go through the course. And category list and include categories, those are two parameters that we rarely will use. So let's go ahead and grip it and rip it. And what do I see on the screen? I see some information, and it's actually gone off the top of the screen. You, as the user, have to be smart enough to know, oh, if I want to see what's at the top, I better scroll up. Okay, so what do I have? I have one variable statistics on the variable time_1 or time 1, and here are my results. I have something called X bar 2.9833. I have something called sigma X of 17.9, and then we see a lot of other values there that are summary statistics for this data. We will learn what all these things mean over the next couple months, but for now, at least you have seen where to find the one-var stats command. Okay, let's go back and look at our graphs here a little more, and I'm going to switch back to a box plot. And let's say for some reason I'm interested in comparing time 1 to time 2. Perhaps I'd like to add time 2 and compare those two box plots side by side. So what I'm going to do is go down and hover over the time 1 label here, and says the message the calculator gives me says click or enter to change variable. So I'm going to go ahead and click. I'm going to right click there. Excuse me, right click. And it says add X variable. Yep, that's what I'd like to do because I would like to look at time 1 and time 2 side by side. And look what we have there. We have box plots. We can compare the two. And they're nice and color coded for us. If you hover over, you can see some information about each of those distributions. That information will be very helpful to us in the future. Okay, so let's say I actually did not want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and remove. I'm going to right click and I want to remove an X variable, and I got rid of time 2. And let's say I actually want to compare time 1 and time 2 as two variable data. Holy cow, look at that. Looks like I have a scatter plot here, and I could actually add a least square regression trend line to this. But that's getting to be a little bit too much for this introductory video. So again, what have we done? We saw that we can enter some data into a list. We can give it variable names. We can plot the data either on a single axis or on 2 axes. And we can run some summary statistics on that data. I'll also tell you this, you can run those summary statistics in a spreadsheet. So for example, I can go over to an open cell here and go Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, one variable statistics, and this should look pretty similar to what we've done before. The list, I'm going to run this on time 1. The first results column, I would actually like to put in column C. That's where I'm at right now. I grip it and rip it, and there's my results. I personally don't like this as much as the calculator page. I just think it's harder to see that information. By the way, all these different results are stored in your calculator memory, and you can recall those should you ever need to actually refer to any of these values. Okay, folks, it's a quick video to enter data, plot data, and then look at some summary statistics on that data. Good luck as you get to know your TI-Nspire CX CAS calculator.